computer. Okay, we got recording now. Um, so the way we handle class is we'll always warm up our bodies. We warm up by walking around the room, open and closing our hands. If you're a seated participant, then you can march your legs in place and hump your arms, open and close your hands. A lot of times by 1:30 in the afternoon, we're fairly warm. We've been up and doing things. So you're not coming from a dead sleep where your body's extremely cold. But we do want to always warm up our bodies. So we'll do warm ups, then we'll do 2 stretches per major joint. So we have 2 warm up movements for our neck, our shoulders, our spine, our hips, our knees, and our ankles. And then we'll go to our Tai Chi series of movements. But always we have warm ups and stretches for our major joints. So always remember to interrupt me if you have a question so I can make sure everything's clear. I can see what's behind me with my camera, but typically I don't recommend walking backwards because it's dangerous. You don't know what you're going to go into. So because I want to stay in the frame of my camera, then I'm going to sometimes walk backwards whenever I'm warming up so that I don't go out of view. But it's just a walking around to get our bodies warmed up. So once we do that a few minutes, we're going to talk about our body awareness and how we're holding our bodies. This is the gift of what Tai Chi gives us, is so that we're constantly thinking about how we're holding our body, not just in Tai Chi class, but out there in the real world. So we want to hold our body in a way that's supportive. So in order to support my body weight, I have my feet about shoulder width or hip width apart. So I'm wide in my stance versus having my feet close together side by side. That makes me feel a little wobbly. Same thing as if I spread my legs too far apart, it's kind of hard for me to maneuver and move around. So a nice stable position is if my feet are shoulder width or hip width apart and my weight's on both legs. As in terms of my posture, I have a nice upright posture and my shoulders are relaxed. So if you've ever been told by your mom or your daddy to put those shoulders back, get you a good posture. That's how we stand whenever we go into our Tai Chi series of movements. So here are way to support it by our legs. We're going to start with our neck. Our first neck movement, we bring our hands up, palms down, towards our chin and chest. We push away from our body, and we follow those hands all the way down as our chin goes towards our chest. Feel a little bit of stretch in the back of your neck. Come back up towards our chin and chest. Push away from our body, and follow those hands all the way down, feeling that little stretch in the back of your neck, maybe even down to your shoulder blades. Push away and follow those hands all the way down. So that whole time, my weight was supported by both feet. I had a slight bend in my knees versus locked knees where I'm standing straight up. There's just that soft bend. Nice open joint for that energy to flow through our body. In terms of breathing, whenever we do this movement, I like to breathe as my hands come up. I like to inhale as my hands come up and then exhale just whenever I'm ready to exhale. All our lungs are different, so we exhale at different rates. But if you're focusing on breath, that's what I like to practice. Inhale as I come up, and then exhale whenever I get ready. So that's the first one for our neck. The second one for our neck starts out that same way. We come up towards our chin and chest. Now we're going to drop one hand to our hip. And I have this hand, let me come a little closer to the camera. I have this hand right here. My palm is facing me. And I'm going to turn my head towards my shoulder and follow my hand. I'm going to follow it back to the front. And I'm going to swap my hands and go towards that other shoulder. You feel a stretch in your neck as you go to the side. This helps with that everyday living activity of driving, so we can properly and safely switch lanes. Or we can properly and safely look behind us to see if we can get out of that parking spot. Make sure nobody's back there. So that's the everyday living activity that movement will help you with. But we're simply going side to side, only moving our head. Our torso is staying forward. Our legs are staying forward as well. The whole time our weight is on both feet. In terms of breathing, I like to inhale as I switch my hands and then exhale as I make that turn. Inhale as I make the switch and exhale as I turn that head towards my shoulder. But don't let that breathing give you stress. The most important thing is that you are breathing. If you're not if you're ready to take another breath before you get back to center to switch your hands, that's no problem. As long as you're breathing. Our goal is to not hold our breath. Our goal is to fill our lungs with air and empty our lungs with air as we're doing the exercise. But because we're doing something that's new and that's unfamiliar, or maybe something that we haven't done in a while, then we may catch ourselves holding our breath. So just be conscious that you are breathing. Every now and again, check in with yourself to make sure you are indeed breathing. So those two are for our neck. Are we good with that, or do we have any questions? We'll do those every single time.
That was good.
Very good. So this is about increasing our range of motion of our neck. Next is for our shoulders. Now remember, we do an upright posture and we have those relaxed shoulders. So when we do this movement, our shoulders are already relaxed, but we're going to roll them a little bit forward. And if you want to think about your fingers on the sides of your leg, that circle is about the size of a quarter or a $50, somewhere in that range. It's not a big CD or a record, right? It's a tiny little circle forward, and then roll those shoulders back. So it probably feels a little bit awkward when you roll your shoulders forward. And that's because we're not intended to have our shoulders forward. We're intended to have those shoulders back. So that's why we roll our shoulders back that second time. Roll our shoulders forward first, and then roll those shoulders back. I usually do things in threes. Almost feels like a massage you give yourself, but it's a warm-up movement for your shoulders. Our next is, again, for our shoulders, we bring our hands up, palms up. We don't go any higher than shoulder height. And then we press down in front of us, palms down. So it's a circle movement, up and down. In terms of breath, I like to inhale as I come up and then exhale as I push those hands down. Inhale up and exhale down. We do this movement at the end of our Tai Chi class, so it must be a pretty important movement. All right, those two are for our shoulders. Are we good for those?
Yep. I am.
Very good. Next is for our spine. Now our spine involves holding this ball. This is our little ball of energy. And so we're going to stretch our spine or warm up our spine vertically, up and down, and horizontally. So the first one is vertically. I'm going to change my camera just a little bit so y'all can see the tops of my hands as I move them. So here I have one hand on top and one hand on bottom. The hand that's on top of my ball, I'm going to push down towards the ground. Now I want you to notice I still have that soft bend in my elbow. I'm not here. That's a lock joint. There is that soft open joint. So I'm pushing down towards the ground, but I'm not locking my elbow. Same thing with that hand that's on top. It's going to come up my spine, follow up my spine. And when it gets about to the top of my head, I'm going to turn my hand up towards the ceiling. Notice that soft bend in that elbow. So I'm going to press up and down at the same time, stretching that spine vertically. I have to always think about a basketball because somebody's vertical is how high they can jump. So here we go, back to that ball. Now let's switch hands. The other hand goes down, pushing towards the ground, and the other hand goes up towards that ceiling, keeping those soft bends, stretching that spine. Back to our ball, and switch. Back to our ball. Hopefully you're feeling that nice stretch in your spine. I don't know if y'all are breathing, but I just caught myself holding my breath. It's kind of hard when you talk and do the movements and you try to breathe. It's kind of hard to do all the things. But I know we get busy with the movements and we forget to breathe. But as a reminder, I like to inhale as I get to my ball. Exhale as I'm separating those hands. And then inhaling as I come to my ball. And exhaling as I separate those hands. So I encourage you in the next week to really practice these movements. You can come back to the video. You can even go into some of the tutorial videos on YouTube that specifically address each warm-up movement. So there is lots of resources. It may only be 5 minutes. It may be 10 minutes, but you can visit there and practice that. But if you will, think about it during the week as you go through these movements and connect it to breath. Inhale as you come to that ball, and exhale as you separate and push, stretching that spine. That's the first one for our spine, the vertical one. The next one is horizontal. So we're going to have our ball and we're going to take it for a ride. The hand that's on top tells us which direction. So I take that ball to the, speaking in mirror image, I'm going to the left, turning my hands to where the other hand's on top, and now I'm going to go to the right. Side to side, we're not going any further than our thigh. And what I mean by that is I'm not going way over here. If I start going way over here, I'm going to start really feeling tension in my spine. Tension over time causes pain, and we're totally against pain. So that's why we keep it easy and soft, just above that thigh, come back across. Not only that, if I were to keep my torso and legs forward as the rule states, and I start going way over here, then it's going to start pulling on my knee, and that's going to really hurt. So again, we're not trying to hurt ourselves. We're trying to help ourselves. So in a world that's bigger, better, is faster, we think we have to go further or it's not good enough. But in Tai Chi, it's small, switch, come across just above those thighs. In terms of breathing, I like to inhale as I switch my hands and exhale as I come across. So side to side. And sometimes my breathing doesn't perfectly match up with that because I may go a little bit faster and I'm not done exhaling by the time I get to switch my hands, when I thought, oh, I like to inhale as I switch hands. And it's okay if I'm still exhaling as I switch hands and I don't inhale until I'm moving again. So don't get wrapped up in when you're supposed to breathe. I don't want you to have to hold your breath because it's, quote, not time to breathe yet. I just want you breathing. And if it's helpful to time it out with movements of your hands and movements of your body, then use those as tools to help time out your breath. It may be a little bit easier to do it whenever you're by yourself because you're not moving at the same pace as me. So just something to keep in mind. Main thing is you're breathing. So those are the two for our spine. The vertical separation of our hands, and then horizontal side to side. Are we good with those?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do those every single time. Next, we have our hips. Now, when we start working with our hips, our knees, and our ankles, then we're diving into the world of weight-bearing joints. So you probably know people that have had hip replacements and knee replacements. I haven't heard too many ankle replacements, but these hips and knees, God didn't make us to last forever. So we're having to get those replaced. Say that again.
I said, I think the other two's enough.
Yeah, the other two's enough. Those are our major weight-bearing joints. It's kind of like what weight our hips don't manage, our knees manage, and our ankles is kind of left with what that. So that's probably why we don't hear as much about ankle replacements, because they're not brunting our full weight like our hips and knees do. So that's when these movements get complicated. Now, this is a good time to use a chair if you have problems with balance. I have a fold-out chair right here that I really wish I had a clear chair so I can use a chair and y'all can still see me. Because if I put this chair here, then it's kind of in the way. So I'm going to change my camera again so that y'all can see the lower body a little better. But the weight-bearing joints, this is when it gets tricky. If we have a hard time with balance, it's because the stabilizer muscles that surround our hips or that surround our knees and ankles, they're not strong enough to help keep us stable. And I know it's more complicated than that, but I'm simplifying it here for the sake of Tai Chi class, in that our goal here is to increase the strength of our stabilizer muscles, those small muscles that surround our joints. So if you have weak stabilizer muscles, then you're more likely to fall. You're more likely to lose your balance. And so it might be really scary for you whenever I ask you to shift your weight to one leg and lift the leg that has no weight on it. That might be really scary for you. So in that case, shift the weight But you don't have to lift that leg and tap it out if that's something that you're scared to try. Or you can hold on to your chair. This is my invisible chair. Shift the weight. Have your chair there for stability, and then tap that foot out. But at least you have that chair to help you. Or I have a table nearby that I can just make sure that's there. And just in case I get a little bit wobbly, I can put my hand down and let it catch me. So always listen to your body and what your needs are, because we're all different. So you decide how is best for you to do this movement. Holding onto a chair, completely skipping the arm movements, not a problem with it, because we're warming up these joints, these weight-bearing joints. Our hand movements just make it Tai Chi. So the first one that we're going to do is for our hips, and we're going to shift our weight to one leg, and we're going to place our heel forward and our hands come back. I keep my body upright, bring that foot to the middle, and my hands come up and my toes go back. Now I want to bring to your attention that my foot is out like a kickstand. It didn't go straight back. That would be an unstable position, but here widens my stance to more of a staggered stance and helps keep me more balanced. So when I pause in the middle, I have my heel forward, hands back, and then I pause in the middle, hands forward, toe back. So you can skip the hand movement and just do the footwork as you hold onto the chair, but this is to warm up that hip. Come back to center. Now let's shift our weight to our other leg. Shift, heel forward, hands back, pause in the middle, and toe back, hands forward. Don't forget to breathe somewhere in there. I don't really have a place that I like to breathe on this movement. I just try to remember to breathe.
That's right.
I like to try to do my deep breathing where I completely fill those lungs with air and completely empty those lungs with air. But you know, sometimes we're worrying about that balance. We really get lost on the breath. So just be patient with yourself as you shift your weight. So that's the first one for our hips. The other one for our hips, we shift our weight from side to side. Much like I was talking about when I first started talking about our weight-bearing joints. But we stack our hands like this, where they're facing the same direction. And we're going to, it's almost like we're opening a curtain. This is the hand movement. We switch, we go this way, switch, and go this way. So notice I didn't go any further out from the frame of my body. I did not go way over here. Why? Because if I start going way over here, then you can see my body leaning. And if I'm leaning, then I'm falling, or I'm going in the direction of falling. So we want to keep our bodies upright, always in our movements. As I shift the weight to that left leg, I'm opening that curtain or moving those hands with that weight shift, then tapping that other toe out, back in, switch my hands, shift the weight, tap that toe out, and back in. Just another reminder, if you want to skip these hand movements and just hold on to your chair, the footwork is what's important. Don't forget to breathe. Side to side, shifting that weight. And that's really when a lot of magic happens in terms of increasing the strength of our stabilizer, is because we slowly shift the weight, slowly shift the weight. That's when those stabilizer muscles are engaged. That's how they get stronger. So that is the 2 movements for our hips. Are we good with those?
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Not that y'all need to see the top of my head, but I hate those cut off. All right. So next is for our knees. Now we have loose fists. I keep mine down here by my hips. The main thing here is that your shoulders are relaxed, because you can have your fist here and have relaxed shoulders, but I like mine down to my hips. So you just kind of experiment with your hand placement of what feels most comfortable for you. What is not good is if you were to hold your shoulders up and your hands be up here. So the main thing is your shoulders are nice and relaxed. So we're going to shift our weight from one to one leg, shift, and we're going to lift this other foot and tap that toe out. Now, when we tap that toe out, we're going to punch out the opposite hand. And when we punch out, there's a soft bend in that elbow. I'm not punching and locking my arm. I'm punching out and keeping a soft bend in that elbow. Sometimes it's hard to see in the video that if I lean down and show you here versus here, you see that's a nice soft bend, that's lock joint. We don't want to lock our joint as we punch out, keeping that soft joint, bringing it back, and here and back. So it's a counterbalance. When I put this toe out, I punch with the opposite hand. Same thing, when I come back, shift the weight, lift and tap that foot, punch the opposite hand out. Notice my body stays upright. I'm not leaning into the movement as I shift my weight. So it's a shift, lift, tap and punch.
Oh.
Shift, lift, tap and punch. So we're just tapping that toe out. Now, if you want to talk higher level, you can pretend there's a cup and you're tapping on top of that cup. So that's a little bit higher of a tapping out. So I'm going to hold the table and show you that, you know, you can lift and do a bigger kick as you do this movement. That's growth in the movement, but there's nothing wrong with just tapping that toe out on the floor in front of you, right there. Shift the weight, lift, tap and punch. The next movement for our knee has that punch again, that opposite punch of the leg movement. We shift. This time we're going to step out, heel toe, just a small step. We're going to shift the weight to that front foot as we punch the opposite hand. And we're going to bring the weight back to that back foot side by side. Shift, step, heel toe, shift and punch, bring it back, feet side by side. Shift. So now we're shifting left to right and front and back. So we're getting really, really into it here with our weight shift of our, this is for our hips and our knees. I mean, the program says it's specifically for our knees, but no doubt our ankles and our hips are involved in this movement. So I'm going to turn to the side and show y'all that when we step forward and shift the weight, my knee doesn't go farther out than my toe. I'm not going to show you how to do it the wrong way. Let me admit Alexi and then write her down. Lexi. Okay. Well, Alexi is not on my list. Okay. Well, Alexi, you're here. I'm glad you're here. So, what was I saying? I'm going to turn to the side. Oh, what I'm not going to do is show you how to do it the wrong way, where you extend your knee out further than your toe, because that will put bad pressure on your knee and you'll hurt yourself. So you'll probably feel it. Even if you tried to do it, you would know that once you got to a certain point, it would start hurting your knee. So just be conscious of a little bit of weight to that front foot and then bring it back to that back foot so you can bring the foot back side by side. So when I say shift to the front foot, I don't mean you're 100% shifting the weight. You're just leaning into that foot a little bit, keeping that body upright, and then shifting the weight back to that back foot and then side by side. Very good. So those are our two for our knees. So our hip movement and our knee movement, they're more complicated because they involve weight bearing. Are we good with those?
Yeah, I am.
Now, did Alexi come in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, very good. I don't see you, so I didn't know.
Oh, I just came to take attendance.
Okay.
Yes.
I gotcha. Well, that whenever I said Alexi, I'm like, that name sounds familiar, but she's not on my list. Now I know who you are. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
Be patient with me. All right. So Alexi, am I saying it right?
Alexi, like galaxy.
Alexi. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably ask you 55 other times, and I'll say it wrong 75 more times.
It's okay. It's okay.
And I'm sorry. I know that's probably a part of your life that.
No, it's okay. It's
Mom,
okay.
why did you do that to me? I'm named Jennifer, so like, there's really no mispronouncing it. So, but I like that whole galaxy.
Thank you.
Galaxy. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so Alexi works for the SOWEGA Council on Aging, and so she's just here to check in and just see how.
I was just getting attendance. I'm gonna let y'all have y'all have fun.
So okay, so what I was saying about those two movements, we have our hip and our knees. Those are the more complicated ones because it relies on our weight bearing. So just give yourself grace if you find that you are a little bit wobbly through those, or you're a little bit scared to completely shift weight. Use your chair, whatever you need to help you get to a place where you're growing in your balance. Our last one is for our ankles, and we hold our hands here. You can hold your hands to the side. I just like holding mine right here in front of me. I shift my weight and I go heel toe, just rocking that foot, heel toe, again, keeping that body upright. Come back, shift the weight, heel toe, rocking that foot. This is great for circulation. If you find yourself sitting a lot, then you can rock that foot and get some circulation in your legs. Shift the weight. Now let's do big toe, little toe. So we're going side to side. Let me back up just a little bit. Big toe, little toe, side to side. That's a little bit more difficult of a movement depending on the range of motion of your ankle joint. Come back to center, shift and go little toe, big toe. So we're going back and forth. It's amazing how our ankles get so stiff when we don't move them. We don't move them a lot. So just take a little time to do some ankle movements. Heel toe, and then big toe, little toe. So give yourself a nice little shake. Let's see, do a time check. It's 2:18. It's always amazing how quick time goes by. So especially in the first class, when I feel like I have to tell y'all all the things that I know about Tai Chi. So, you know, in the beginning, you do want to do a lot more talking. So it kind of makes sense and it all has a reason. So those are the warm-up movements that we'll do every time. We have those 2 for our neck, 2 for our shoulders, our spine, hips, knees, and our ankles. Again, those movements are on that YouTube page. They're done one at a time, so you can review them one at a time. If you just have 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 12 minutes, whatever you want to use to just review and practice. You don't even have to do them. You can watch them, and that helps you review. But those we'll do every single time. Any questions that you have about those warm-up movements? I think you're good on those. If you get a chance, go over and practice those sometime this week, or just think about them and then let me know next week if there's any parts where you're like, you know, I didn't think about it until I was practicing on my own, but now I'm confused about this. So you just let me know and I'll get any questions answered. So every time we'll do that. Now, Tai Chi is a series of movements that are done in a certain order. Right and left matter. You know, whenever we just did our warm-up movements, I really didn't talk about right and left. I would say to the side and then to the other side, because it didn't matter right and left. We were going to do it to the other side in just a second. But when we do our Tai Chi series of movements, right and left matter. And that's why I talked about how we do mirror image. So whenever I tell you mirror image, I say shift the weight to your right leg and step your left leg. So that's mirror image. This right here is my right leg, but mirror image to you, it is my left leg. So that's what we'll dive into next week as we do our Tai Chi series of movements, starting with commencement. And if you want to get on the YouTube page and review commencement, then that's something that we'll break down next week and go into. But commencement looks like this. So it's a step forward. That's our leg movement, is a step forward. It's a shift to the right. It's a step with the left. It's a shift to the left, and it's a bring that right foot forward. So that's the footwork. The handwork of commencement involves our hands moving together, facing each other. Our hands come up and down towards our bodies, up like an elevator, out, and then back in. So we'll break it down. We'll do that footwork part. We'll do the handwork part. And then we'll practice doing it together where we come up. And as we come down, that's when we shift that weight. We step, bring it in, up, shift as those hands go out, bring that foot forward, and our hands come back. So that's a complicated move for our first move. So Dr. Lamb gave us a little gift of open and close, looking like this. So don't we love it? I love that he made that first movement so complicated, and then he goes, okay, let's just do open and close. Now, open and close is done several times throughout the series of our movement, and that open and close is a reminder to breathe. As we have learned through doing our warm-up movements, we learn how easy it is for us to hold our breath That open and close is a reminder. Oh, have you breathed lately? Let's breathe. Inhale and exhale. And so it's dotted throughout our Tai Chi movements as a reminder to breathe. It's also a good time, and not necessarily the first one, but it's a good time to kind of check your body to make sure that you're in a good alignment. Are you, do you have that good posture? Are your feet in the right place? Because I know sometimes you may step and you may step too far, or you may step too close. So when you open and close, it's a time to make an adjustment. So that, although open and close is an easier movement, it gives us an opportunity to do some other things. All right, so now we'll do our cool down, which we do every time as well, and that ends with, or starts with, a fist massage of our thighs. This helps break up any lactic acid. If you're not used to moving a lot, you may be a little bit sore from doing Tai Chi, and so this helps break up that soreness. I like to fist massage my hips and behind as well as my thighs. The next thing we do is create tension by gathering and tensing up our bodies and then purposely releasing that tension. So we come here, tense up our bodies and relax. Inhale and exhale. Or tense or gather and release. That gives us a good reminder that what tension feels like. We don't want to hold tension. Sometimes we hold tension and don't even realize we want to let that tension go. And release. And as promised, here's that shoulder circle. Our hands come up and push down. Again, inhale as I come up and exhale. Inhale up and exhale. One more. And at the end of each class, we have a fist with our right hand. It's a loose fist, and that represents our strength. Then we have our left hand. Our fingers are together. That represents our friendship. And then our thumb comes in, and that represents our humility. So we have strength, friendship, and humility. And we put those together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste. Namaste is a word that means everything about me respects everything about you. It doesn't matter if we don't believe the same things or think the same way. We can still be respectful of each other. And so I love that. I always end in class with namaste.
Namaste.
So do you have any questions for me?
Namaste.
I
Love,
hope
yeah.
I hope that everybody will feel comfortable turning their video on. It makes me a little bit nervous not being able to see everybody. And it's not in judgment. I'm not trying to say, oh, you're doing it wrong. I just want to make sure you're safe. I want to, you know, if something were to happen to you, I would like to know that something happened to you and try and get help to you if you need that help. I would like that if possible. But I know this morning when I had class, somebody said that they hadn't got dressed yet and they didn't want to get on camera. But just know it's not in judgment. It's just to help you so I can see you. I will be, when when I finish here, I will upload the video to YouTube, and it'll be called, it'll be like it was last time. It'll say SOWEGA. It'll say August the 16th, which is today's date. And then your video will say PM. Last year I say last year, it's last fiscal year, but it was still in this calendar year. I had a Tuesday class and a Thursday class. So this time, both of my classes are on Tuesday. And so just make sure you're seeing PM and AM and clicking the right one. You're welcome to watch the AM if you want to. You can watch anything that's on that YouTube channel. All right, y'all got anything else for me?
No, but is this gonna be the one same thing where Robin was on? So I was still doing some of her classes. It's gonna be
Yeah.
on.
As far as I know, Robin is not working with SOWEGA Council on Aging anymore. And so, I don't know who's doing their classes. They just asked if I would do Tai Chi.
Yeah, okay. Well, her classes are still on there. That's what I was saying. I've been watching them and doing them.
Oh, okay. So they're her classes that were on YouTube.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's where you'll be on, right?
Yeah, I'll be on YouTube, but it's on your Claris.
Right.
For those of you who've done it, what does the button say? Does it say Tai Chi? Does it say Jennifer? What does it say?
No, we have events and a button to come up and it says join the Tai Chi, and have a writing join the Tai Chi with Jennifer, and you press the little thing that says start video.
What about when you want to go to YouTube and look?
Okay, there are different buttons.
Okay.
You can go to YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, 2 different ways on the Claris. I believe it has, if you go into the SOWEGA button, you can go on.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just play around with it and click on things and see what that is. And if you have any problems, let me know, and we'll make sure that you have the right path. But I am on YouTube, and I know if you type in Jennifer Crosby, it comes up. But y'all have an easy button.
Yeah, I go on. I do a number of things on the YouTube, and Dr. Lamb's on there, and also Forte. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's really good too.
Well,
and
you can get on YouTube and you can learn how to change out an engine. I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube.
I don't want to do that, but
no, I don't either. But YouTube is really cool because we can learn so many things.
yeah, but we can get onto it through here, so we're fine.
Very good. So that gets us started. We have a good journey ahead of us, and I'm very excited. I'm glad to see familiar faces and new faces, and we're going to have a good time these next 4 months. It'll get us right up to Christmas, y'all.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, y'all take care, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, Jennifer. Have a good day.
You're welcome. You too.